YouTube. Gotta be honest with you, I wasn't even planning to watch this video. Just looking at my For You page, I guess, on my recommended, and I saw, it's like okay, rest in peace. But in the bathroom, my ex-boyfriend was doing it. Now I really hope that does not mean what I think it means. I'm not gonna say it. Let's just see what it means. Hopefully I am wrong though, because if I'm not, oh jeez. Huh? Or no, maybe no. Maybe the crime wasn't even that bad. 80 years, maybe the crime wasn't even that bad. Oh fuck.
Hey guys, today we're diving into another truly horrifying case. If you want to support my channel, make sure to subscribe and stay active.
Let me
It really helps me out.
My bad.
I'd be super grateful for that. Let's get started.
No, facts. What he said, I would be super grateful.
Stardom comes with a hidden cost. Many chase the spotlight without realizing.
Is this AI voice?
Negative attention, public scrutiny, jealousy from others, and immense psychological pressure. The greatest risk of all is losing one's personal space and privacy. Over time, these challenges can lead to anxiety, diminished self-worth, and emotional burnout. Fame may be fleeting, but its consequences can have a lasting impact. Anastasia Kamlovskaya,
God
a
damn, she
young
set it
woman
up
from St.
crazy.
Petersburg, better known online as Nastya Grishman, dreamed of becoming a
Where's she from?
can have a lasting impact. Anastasia Kamlovskaya, a young woman from St. Petersburg, better known online as Nastya Grishman,
What's the
dreamed
last
of
name?
becoming a
She
top
Russian?
influencer. Determined to achieve success no matter
Nah,
what,
she don't look Russian.
she
I'm bugging.
managed to build a following of more than 300,000 across
But
her
goddamn.
social platforms in just a few years. Charismatic, eccentric, and multi-talented, Anastasia had a vibrant online presence that resonated with many. Despite her colorful personality and creative spark, Anastasia's life came to a sudden and heartbreaking end. She had dreams, big ones. She was planning a fresh start, hoping to leave behind the chaos and begin a new chapter. Tragically, someone she once trusted and cared for made sure that would never happen. Anastasia Kamlovskaya was born on February 7th, 1996, in the city of St. Petersburg. She was the only child her parents had together. Her father struggled with alcohol and left the family shortly after she was born, leaving her mother, Elena, to raise her alone. Despite working 2 jobs, Elena constantly struggled to make ends meet. Anastasia's early years were far from easy. Her father played no role in her upbringing. He never provided financial support or showed any interest in her
to court.
life.
Fuck her.
Anastasia and her mother lived together in a cramped dorm room on the outskirts of the city. There wasn't even space for a separate bed, so until the age of 12, she shared the same bed with her mother.
Damn.
As she reached her teenage years, Anastasia still
12?
had no personal space to call her own. She lacked even the smallest corner where she could be alone with her thoughts. This weighed heavily on her emotionally, but there was little she could do to change her reality. In the spring of 2008, Elena brought Anastasia to the town of Kolpino, where her former mother-in-law lived, and left her in the care
Wait, where
of
is
an
this?
elderly woman.
St. Petersburg? Is that what he said? Probably gonna be retarded. Aha! I was right. Russia. Man, I'm like that. I mean, I would say it's. Well, I don't. This don't look like no U.S. Signs and shit. So that's why I had to look it up. Nice. Man, I'm him, man. I know what I'm talking about, bro.
Anastasia had barely known her paternal grandmother before this, but they quickly bonded and got along well. At the time, her father was living in a different region and had no contact with his mother or his daughter.
The fuck is he here?
Anastasia's grandmother lived in a modest house, but for the first time, the young girl had her own bed and even her own room. She was overjoyed. Still, her mother's visits became less and less frequent, something that deeply saddened her. Elena had started focusing on her own life. Though she initially tried to visit every weekend, That changed once she entered a new relationship and remarried. Her daughter, from a previous marriage, clearly
Man,
didn't
come
fit
on.
into the picture of her new family. While Elena continued to send financial support, her in-person presence faded almost completely.
I guess it's
Anastasia
better than
felt
nothing.
abandoned and emotionally isolated. She struggled with sadness and tried to find her place in the world. Deprived of emotional support and attention, she began channeling her pain into art, drawing dark, intense images that reflected her inner turmoil. Her grandmother did everything she could to make up for the absence of Anastasia's parents. She provided care, warmth, and encouragement, fostering her granddaughter's creative spirit. She made sure Anastasia had all the materials she needed to express herself.
That'd be grandma, I'm not gonna lie. This great
By the
grandma.
time she turned 15,
Okay,
Anastasia began
let's back up
expressing
now.
her desire to get a tattoo and some piercings. Her grandmother didn't scold her or say no. Instead, she simply asked if it would make her happy. When Anastasia said yes, her grandmother not only gave her the money, but also
So she
accompanied
took her.
her to the salon. That
What's her first tattoo?
was the beginning of a transformation. Anastasia began altering her appearance gradually.
Yeah, I mean, she
She
got them all over her
designed her own
face.
tattoo sketches, which were later inked onto her body.
That's cool, I
She had a
guess.
deep love for Korean pop culture, with its unique style of modernization.
Car insurance used to stress me out.
You don't need to stress out about car insurance. You just go to
Ah, yeah.
And was an avid fan of anime. She regularly
What
attended
the?
comic conventions and participated in cosplay contests, impressively transforming into her favorite characters. She became the kind
Jesus,
of
she
bold,
really is tatted up. Holy
attention-grabbing
shit.
teen
God
others
damn,
admired.
look at her body.
Wherever she went,
This sounded
she
weird.
stood out. Still in high school, Anastasia purchased her first basic tattoo machine. She started tattooing herself and others, earning her first personal income. Over time, she refined
What
her
is that right?
technique
Is that-
and built
What does she have tattoo up here? It's like a fish, but like what is, no, seriously though, what the fuck is this?
experience.
Such a good
Her
question.
work grew increasingly detailed and professional, showcasing real artistic talent. By the time Anastasia turned 18, there was barely any blank space left on her skin. Her
Damn.
body was almost entirely covered in tattoos, many of which she had inked herself. For areas she couldn't reach, other tattoo artists helped bring her original sketches to life. Alongside her passion for body art, she developed an interest in piercings. She had multiple ear piercings, as well as ones on her nose, lip, tongue, navel, and other parts of her body.
What was the last
Later,
one? Navel?
She began decorating her face with ink as well as ones on her nose, lip, tongue, navel, and other parts of her body.
Navel.
Later, she began decorating her face with ink as well. She altered the shape and fullness of her lips, wore colored contact lenses, and frequently changed her style. She wasn't just fascinated by art.
God damn, this
She
butt
was
ass lipstick.
determined to turn herself
Flowers.
into a living
Your
piece
stomach?
of modern expression. During her youth, Anastasia struggled with emotional difficulties, including a severe eating disorder. She barely ate and became extremely thin, on the verge of serious health complications. Though she eventually stabilized her diet and overcame many of these challenges, she remained physically delicate and slender. Anastasia, however, considered her appearance an advantage. Her petite frame allowed her to fully embody her favorite comic book and anime characters.
Her petite frame. Now, whose words were those? Were those your words or were those hers? Little sick fuck.
After high school, Anastasia
Hey, who wrote this, huh? Who wrote this so the AI would say this, huh? Now, were those your words or were those hers?
enrolled in a
I think his buddy forgot what video he was making, man. Yo, ass getting distracted, you holy fuck.
technical college, choosing an unconventional field for a young woman, auto mechanics.
AI Wilden?
From a young
Yeah,
age,
shit,
she
you
was
not lying.
fascinated by how machines worked, and she considered building a future in that area. At the same time, she was learning computer programming and web design while working as a tattoo artist at a local studio. In her free time, she painted and sketched, constantly creating new and bold characters and images. At 16, Anastasia launched several profiles on popular social media platforms where she actively engaged with her audience. She shared photos, her original art, and the tattoos she designed for herself and others. Her vibrant personality, artistic flair, and unique aesthetic quickly
Was there anywhere
caught
she's
people's
not tatted
attention,
up in?
and her
Goddamn.
follower count began to rise rapidly. Anastasia was a style chameleon. Her look was a blend of gothic and anime influences, and she had a natural talent for storytelling. She shared her thoughts, hobbies, and life goals in a way that resonated with her audience. Many, especially younger viewers, saw something familiar in her struggles and passions, and they supported her by liking, commenting, and subscribing. Over time, she built a loyal community around her, a group made up of anime fans, lovers of body art and piercings, cosplay enthusiasts,
Yeah, I'm sure
and
some
others
people love
who
body
connected
art, you
with her
little sick
worldview.
fucks.
Without even realizing
My
it,
bad.
Anastasia had become an influencer with a strong and growing presence. Her voice mattered, and her audience listened. As her follower count surged and she began receiving collaboration and sponsorship offers, Anastasia realized she could earn a living by simply doing what she loved online. By the age of 19, this
shit.
rising internet star had saved enough to move out of her grandmother's house and relocate to St. Petersburg. There, she found work as a tattoo artist at a well-known studio and rented her own apartment. After the move, she adopted a more striking stage name, Grishman, and started
Grishman?
thinking about taking her
What's
talents
that?
to television. She auditioned for a popular reality show similar to Bad Girls Club, but didn't make the final cut.
Damn.
Producers felt she didn't quite fit the mold they were looking for.
What's
They
that?
viewed her more as an unconventional creative rather than the type
Got
of
me
tough
washing
persona
cars
the show
out here.
featured.
What the fuck are you doing in
Still,
GTA that you gotta wash
Anastasia wasn't
cars?
discouraged. She doubled down on building her online presence. By 2019, at just 23,
Is this a piercing?
Anastasia
Or is that
had become
necklace?
a well-known and in-demand tattoo artist. She was earning solid income, mentoring others in her craft, and also began offering courses in web design. Around this time,
Part of
she joined TikTok,
money
and her
laundering.
popularity exploded.
Was that a
To
gun?
fast
I'm guessing that's
forward
fake.
just a bit, Anastasia's social media following would eventually top 300,000. But she wasn't content to stop there. Her goal was to become a million-follower influencer. She had the talent, drive, and momentum to make it happen, until she met a man whose actions would first shatter her spirit and later cost her her life. Who was Dmitry Chernyshov? Dmitry Chernyshov
You get a lot of this loser right here.
was born on
Fuck outta.
February 15th, 1998, in the city of Omsk. His mother passed away when he was very young, leaving him with only faint memories of her. Not long after,
Okay,
his father
and, like,
remarried.
Why are you telling us what you want us to feel bad for him? Fuck him.
Dmitry was then raised by a stepmother who showed him little affection.
Man, nobody give a
and
fuck about this
rarely
loser. Don't
gave
be telling
him
us his
the attention and
backstory.
care he needed.
Fuck this dude.
Lacking love and emotional support, Dmitry grew up withdrawn, shy, and quiet. His favorite pastime was drawing.
Okay,
Alongside
and
regular
does that
schooling,
suppose
he began
does this just
attending
mean
a
that he
local
can kill
art
somebody
studio,
now?
where he made his first
Fuck
real
outta.
friends and gradually started to open
Man,
up.
this dude don't
and
got
feel
no
more
friends. You
comfortable
know damn
around
well he got no
others.
friends, man.
As a teenager, Dmitry's behavior began to shift. He started interacting more with peers, both in person and online. On his social media profiles, he shared his love for music and poetry, and often posted personal reflections, frequently musing on life and death. However, his writing style was clumsy and, at times, a bit unsettling. He spoke openly about his fascination with walking through cemeteries. He said he found peace in studying the photos of young women on gravestones, imagining what their short lives might have been like. He also shared his tattoo designs, mostly drawings of cars and Japanese kanji phrases. On several occasions, he described what he believed to be the ideal partner, focusing not just on personality traits, but also physical appearance and age. These posts seemed odd, especially since at the time Dmitry had already been in a long-term relationship with Margarita, a girl he'd met in high school. Margarita shared many of his views and supported him in everything. So when Dmitri decided to move to St. Petersburg in 2017, she didn't protest. Instead, she took charge of organizing the entire relocation. She bought the tickets, found them an apartment, and worked on getting their new life set up. To make ends meet, both Dmitri and Margarita took on various freelance gigs. They offered web design and software development services and picked up whatever work they could find. Dmitri also enjoyed car restoration and was looking for opportunities in that field. It's unclear exactly when Dmitri decided to begin creating adult-themed content, but he brought Margarita into the project.
Huh?
She became both his business
Hold on, what was he
and
making
on-camera
exactly?
partner. Dmitri acted as the producer and performer, crafting storylines, character concepts, and costumes, often working side by side with Margarita. This controversial and unauthorized activity generated a decent income. However,
What
Dmitri
was he
kept
doing? Like
most
only
of the money
like
for himself and made all the financial decisions. Margarita didn't seem to mind. She
What?
trusted him completely and
Oh
relied on him for
hell
direction.
enough.
By 2020, Dmitri had bought himself a Mercedes-Benz, something he proudly
Damn.
showcased on social media. It's also worth noting that Dmitri had 2 prior convictions, one for theft, committed before his move to St. Petersburg, and another for failing to comply with mandatory military service. As a result, he was
Yikes.
legally prohibited from leaving the country.
Yikes.
Being in the online
And hold on, what exactly was he doing as he made? What was what did he say? Adult content? He was. They were
Didn't
fucking on that
appear to
shit.
concern him at the time. Margarita first met Anastasia Grishman when she went to her studio for a tattoo. The 2 women hit it off instantly and became fast friends. Anastasia worked meticulously, and Margarita was thrilled with the result. So when Dmitri later wanted a new tattoo, Margarita didn't hesitate to recommend Anastasia, calling her one of the best in the business. Dmitri brought in his sketch, and together with
My
Anastasia,
bad.
they refined the design and scheduled a series of sessions to complete the work. From the very first meeting, it was clear that there was a spark between them. While working together, Dmitri and Anastasia often had casual conversations that gradually became more personal and meaningful. They discovered they had much in common. Both were raised in single-parent, troubled households. Both had been deprived of love and attention from their families. And both were artistic souls with a passion for tattoos, anime, and cars. Most importantly, they shared an intense drive to achieve fame, no matter the cost. The connection between them grew quickly.
I guess he what he
They
got, he
began
got what
spending
he
time
wanted.
together
That piece
outside
of
of the
shit.
studio, attending car shows, tattoo conventions, and anime-themed events. What started as a friendship soon turned into a passionate romance. They tried to keep their relationship under wraps, since Dmitri was still in a committed relationship with Margarita, whom he had been dating for nearly 5 years.
Damn.
It didn't take long for Margarita to realize what was happening. She deeply regretted introducing her boyfriend to the eccentric Anastasia.
Shit, well you should regret us letting him keep
At
all that
first,
fucking
she
money for
attempted to
himself.
resolve things calmly through conversations, but Dmitri's responses were vague and unconvincing. Eventually, Margarita began confronting him directly, expressing jealousy, making demands, and asking him to stop seeing Anastasia. Dmitri promised he would, but he never followed through.
Yeah, come on,
Margarita
bruh.
saw the writing on the wall, but she couldn't bring herself to let go. She had left her hometown for Dmitri, entered a questionable industry under his influence, and supported him in every possible way, emotionally, financially,
Holy
and
shit, they started doing,
professionally.
you know,
Now,
they
he
just start
was ready
fucking
to leave her for Anastasia.
on the
The
internet.
situation became
And she didn't even
more
want to do it at
painful
first.
when it was revealed that Dmitri had bought Anastasia an expensive car. He had never made such grand gestures for Margarita, and no one believed anymore that the relationship
Hold on. Flag on the play. You bought a girl expensive ass car and she ain't even your girlfriend? Shit. You already got a girlfriend and you bought her this shit.
between him and Anastasia was just friendly. In a moment of emotional distress, Margarita reportedly damaged the car and even made threats about harming herself.
Oh,
But
she's
even
bugging.
that wasn't enough to stop Dmitri from walking away. Dmitri moved out of the apartment he shared with Margarita and moved into Anastasia's rented home. By that point, Anastasia was already a well-known figure online, with a fan base numbering in the hundreds of thousands. Her new relationship quickly became a topic of interest among her followers, and Dmitri began gaining popularity by association. For someone like Dmitri, who had always longed for fame and attention, this was a dream come true, and he achieved it through his relationship with Anastasia. He became her manager, assisting with her social media presence, content
Let this
creation,
crazy
and
fuck become your
online course
manager.
sales. Their business was thriving, and her audience was growing. But for Dmitri, it still wasn't enough. Soon, Dmitri convinced Anastasia to become his partner in adult-themed content creation, promising even greater
Holy
fame
shit, he
and
did it
financial
twice.
rewards. Anastasia agreed. They began filming videos in rented studios or at home, distributing them across various platforms. Her career shifted dramatically, but her popularity continued to grow. Dmitri called her his muse and gave her luxurious gifts, but in truth, it was Anastasia who was paying the real cost of their lifestyle, both with her image and her well-being. In early 2022, Anastasia was invited to appear on the talk show Beyond the Line, where she was asked to speak about her life and the unexpected shift in her career. She didn't see anything wrong with participating and happily agreed. However, the episode didn't go the way she had hoped. The producer's main goal was to expose the hidden parts of Anastasia's and Dmitri's past.
What?
The show brought Anastasia's mother, Elena, into the studio and asked how she felt about her daughter's involvement in the adult entertainment industry.
They set
The
her
woman
up.
became emotional, said this wasn't how she raised her daughter.
I'm not
and
gonna lie,
blamed
I would just
Dmitri
walk
for
out.
everything that had happened. When Anastasia appeared on stage, she immediately began defending herself and her partner. She claimed that acting in adult films was something she had always dreamed of, and even referred to it as a form of modern art.
You hold on. You tell me you grew up dreaming of. It's gonna sound weird now since I said you grew up, but of getting fucked on camera and making money from it. Like I knew people do it and shit. They get good money, shit, probably great money too. But you dreamed of it? That's come on now. That's whoa.
She openly challenged the show's experts and guests, laughing off their moral lectures about how one should live. Margarita, Dmitri's ex, also appeared as a guest.
Holy shit.
She spoke about her long-term relationship with Dmitri and described how Anastasia had come between them without hesitation. Margarita suggested that Dmitri was more interested in Anastasia's fame than in her as a person.
Yeah, probably.
And that he planned to use it for his own benefit.
Yeah, probably
In closing,
too.
she described Dmitri as emotionally and physically aggressive toward his partners. When asked whether she was concerned that her daughter might be living with someone abusive, Elena brushed it off. She said Dmitri seemed quiet and incapable of harming anyone. On screen, Dmitri came across as awkward and unable to speak clearly. Many viewers found it strange to watch two attractive, confident women fighting over someone who seemed so underwhelming and lost. A few months after the talk show aired, where Anastasia had fiercely defended Dmitri, their relationship began to fall apart. Dmitri had fully abandoned his work in the tech industry and was now relying solely on Anastasia's income, pushing her to appear in explicit content more and more frequently. Anastasia felt trapped in the situation. She decided it was time not only to end the relationship, but also to leave the country altogether. By that
Cool.
time, Anastasia had saved enough money to make a move. She confided in a close friend that she was seriously considering relocating to South Korea.
Whoa.
Her plan was to open a tattoo studio there, and she had already begun researching the legal and business aspects of such a move. She started selling off some of her belongings and was preparing herself for a difficult conversation with Dmitri.
Shit, I'm
Their
not gonna
breakup
lie. The
didn't
way
go
he be,
smoothly.
yeah, I don't.
Dmitri knew that if Anastasia left, he would lose everything: his home, income, and growing online relevance. Nevertheless, by the end of July 2022, Anastasia finally convinced him to pack up his things and move out of her apartment. Some believe she was so determined because a new person had entered her life: blogger and influencer Kirill Kittleson. On
Oh.
July 31st, Anastasia met up with Kirill, and the two had a wonderful time together, spending the evening walking around and enjoying each other's company. However, just hours after they parted ways, Kirill received an unexpected message from Anastasia. She told him it would be their last meeting and that she didn't want to see him again. Kirill was shocked and tried to call her, but she didn't pick up. After that night, Anastasia's behavior changed dramatically. She stopped seeing anyone in
happened?
person and no longer answered phone calls. She would only respond to text messages, often saying she wanted to be left alone and needed time to process things. Though she continued to post on social media and share stories, she stopped doing live streams.
Yeah,
Her
oh my
mother
god, he
and
did
closest
something.
friends were the first to express concern.
Yeah.
They had no
it's-
idea what was really going on. Anastasia had essentially vanished, remaining active only online. On August 2nd, a close friend of Anastasia's ran into Dmitry at a social gathering. When asked about Anastasia, he suddenly said something chilling: that his ex-partner had asked him to help her go away, and he had obliged. He refused to go into details, but the friend knew something terrible had happened. For a week,
Yeah,
Do you
that
ever sit around
motherfucker
on your
did something,
bike and
bro.
realize it didn't have to be that hard.
friends stayed silent, unsure what to do, holding on to hope that Anastasia was alive and would reach out. Finally, on August 9th, she decided to call the authorities and shared everything she knew. Law enforcement arrived at Anastasia's apartment that same day, but no one answered. Authorities forced the door and entered. Inside, the scene was chaotic. Half-packed suitcases lay on the floor and the bed was soaked. In the bathroom, they discovered Anastasia's lifeless
Jeez.
body. She was 26 years old and had been missing for over a week, her body already starting to decompose. The medical examiner confirmed her death was caused by multiple stab wounds to her chest and neck.
Jesus.
It appeared she had been preparing for her move when she was attacked so brutally. Dmitry was immediately the prime suspect and was arrested the next day. On July 31st, after a date with Kirill, Anastasia went home. Dmitry showed up shortly after and saw the packed suitcases. He realized she intended to leave and that their relationship was over. She had likely told him about her new boyfriend. According to Dmitry, they got into a heated argument. In a fit of rage, he grabbed a knife and things spiraled out of control. He claims he fled in shock, then later returned to help,
Man, get
but
the
found
fuck out of here.
Anastasia already gone.
Ain't no
He
fucking
said he
shit.
moved her body into the bathtub, left it there, and then pretended her social media accounts were still active to make it look like she was alive. That same day, after consulting a lawyer, Dmitry changed his story. He claimed Anastasia had been deeply depressed and asked him for a favor to end her life. He insisted he was only helping her.
Yeah,
With her
but
permission.
you already admitted
During
to
a
it. You're a
reenactment for
cook.
investigators, Dmitry demonstrated how he allegedly stabbed Anastasia. But when asked what she said last, he admitted she had asked him to call emergency services, contradicting his claim about her supposed desire to die. Over the following months, Dmitry returned to the apartment several times. He blocked and taped over vents and cracks to delay the smell of decomposition, and even draped Anastasia's body with perfume he found in the apartment. On January 22nd, 2023, Dmitry pleaded guilty to the crime, continuing to claim that Anastasia had asked him to help her. His trial dragged on, but by January of the following year, he was sentenced to 8
Damn,
years
shit took a
in a
year.
maximum security prison. In a final note, Anastasia's mother allowed But by January of the following year, he was sentenced to 8 years in a
8
maximum
years?
security prison.
This dude
In a final
killed
note,
his ex-girlfriend and was only given 8 years. Yo.
Anastasia's mother allowed media crews to film at her daughter's funeral for a fee. Anastasia's grandmother
What? Hold on.
Purity prison. In a final note, Anastasia's mother allowed media crews to film at her daughter's funeral for a fee.
You charging people? Yo, what are you not only you letting people record your daughter's funeral, you charging them? You trying to make money from your daughter's death. You're trying to make money from your daughter's fucking funeral. Yo. Oh fuck. What did I just click? Yo, what am I saying?
Anastasia's grandmother, mourning the loss of her granddaughter, harshly criticized her daughter, Anastasia's mother, for allegedly exploiting her child's death for money.
Yo, that's yo, she dead she really just tried to make a yo. Also, 8 fucking years is crazy, by the way. Also, like, yo, you dead. Nah, you're not lying, though. Yo, she dead let people film it. Yeah, yo, rest in peace, man.